Hello everybody and welcome to the AppleBruit podcast number 13. Number 15, my bad. The only podcast that talks about Apple rumors of the week. Alright, so let's get things started with Tinte.vn. So it's a Vietnamese website, and they have videos and photos. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna fix this Safari thing. They have videos and photos of what the iPhone headphones would look like, and it looks pretty crazy. I mean, never seen a design like this before, at least coming out of Apple. And there's a lot of people that say that, oh, okay, by the way, for those of you audio listeners that look at it, it kind of looks like an earbud. I don't know how to describe this design. It's completely different from what Apple's made before. And a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't look real, but I actually think it's got a bit of an Apple gene in it, because if you guys are looking at the photo, and if you go to AppleBruit.com, click on the A1, and then you can get a link to the Tinte website. If you look at the photos, it looks like the speakers for the iPhone, right? If you look at the speakers for the iPhone, the same shape is in the same it's the same shape as the headphones. And yeah, I mean, I looked at this thing and I'm like, whoa, okay, Apple is totally changing things up with their headphones, but I hope that they actually make it durable, because these Apple headphones just suck. Like, oh my God, they suck. They break so easily, and all that stuff. And I hope that this is actually a lot better. And yeah, I hope it's real, because it looks freaking awesome. And it looks like there's two speakers in it. I mean, like, there's one speaker, but it looks like there's two different holes. So it's a little bit weird, I guess. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, that's the only thing I can say to explain what this iPhone looks like. And apparently, it would come with the iPhone 5, so that's pretty cool, I guess. And speaking of the iPhone 5, could it get NFC? Well, according to 9to5Mac, there are pictures on the back of the iPhone 5, and actually, this is the front. I think this is the front. Pictures of the front of the iPhone 5, and a lot of people are saying this is the NFC chip, because it's this square thing at the top, front panel. I think this is the front panel at the top, and they're going, this is where the NFC would go, and they even cited a patent. 9to5Mac cited the patent from Pantley Apple on the location of this NFC chip. So a lot of people were like, oh my God, it's gonna be NFC, it's gonna be huge, it's gonna be insane. And even I was like that. I read this and I thought, oh man, Apple is totally gonna change things up if they put NFC in here. But according to our next article from anontech.com, he kind of put some sense into this whole NFC thing. And he just said, there's no way that this is NFC. And he totally just shot that down. And then all of a sudden, all the blogs that were writing about NFC, they check it out and they went, oh yeah, you're right. Oh, whoops. No, not even whoops. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Let's keep going. That's kind of like the mentality. And it seems like the blogs are just trying to grab onto absolutely anything that they can grab on, and then report that it's NFC and it's crazy, it's insane, and then Anontech is just like, hey, you know what? It's not NFC, and this is why. And I agree with Anontech. I think one of the speculations is just for speakers. I mean, it's for the iPhone speakers, and yeah, and I complain about these blogs going nuts about all these rumors, but then again, I'm the guy that reads them and reports them to you guys. So am I equally bad? I guess whatever. I'm gonna keep going. 9to5Mac says that the iPhone 5 actually they have more images of the iPhone 5 and its processor. That's right. So there's a lot of photos out there of the logic board, but never a photo of the logic board with its shielding stripped out. And if you look at this photo of this brand new logic board that people have taken photos of, I think this guy's name is Sonny something. Sonny, I don't know his last name. Sonny, sorry Sonny. He's probably not even listening to this, seriously. But anyway, he looked at the photo, this blurry photo of this logic board, and then he said he had to go into Photoshop and enhance this section, and then he can see the Apple logo and the A6 in it. And it would be a huge change if the iPhone 5 has A6. Like every time that iPhone or the iPad or the iPod Touch gets a brand new processor, that is a huge change, because all of a sudden, well, you have brand new technologies that you can take advantage of. And if the iPhone 5 does A6, good on them, because I'm planning on getting an iPhone 5. We'll see if I'm still poor. I just paid my university fees. I'm like, oh my god, you know, I punched in all my bank credentials, and then I hit send, and I was like, okay, that didn't feel like I paid for that, but it's like, ooh, okay, several $1,000s gone for a semester. Anyway, let's keep going. MacRumors.com talks about the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 4S panels. So they compared images of what the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 4S looks like, the front panel at least. And it doesn't look like there's much of a difference when it comes to height, because what Apple did was they decreased the space at the top of the screen, at the bottom of the screen. So like the home button is a little bit smaller, and so they just decreased the edge space. What am I talking about here? For those of you guys watching the video version, they decreased the top and the bottom. That's pretty much what they did. So it actually doesn't look that much different when it comes to height wise. And I don't know where I'm going with this story, but I'm gonna, I'm just like, okay, I'm stuck here. What am I gonna keep talking about this story for? And speaking of the screens, Reuters reports that Sharp is having trouble creating these iPhone 4 screens. iPhone 5 screens. And that's not good, because if they're having trouble creating, I've already talked about this. If they're having trouble creating iPhone 5 screens, it's going to be rare to get an iPhone 5. So you guys better, line up and refresh that website. But I've also heard a lot of news out there of people saying, oh yeah, iPhone's already transferred from Sharp, like moved away from Sharp and into LG. And oh man, there's another company like V Optics or something like that. So anyway, it seems like Apple has already moved away from Sharp. So I don't know why this is still like big news, right? And iLounge.com talks about the iPhone 5 and third-party accessories for the iPhone 5. And apparently there's a few that leaked. These third-party accessories... Oh no, where's the photos? The photos are gone! No! It seems like Skosh, who created who published these photos, or it's a company that creates these third-party devices. iLounge got a photo of these third-party devices, and Skosh was like, "Hey, take it down. We don't want none of that around here." So they did take down those photos, but it looks like Skosh has already invested into third-party stuff. They've already invested into the rumors of what the iPhone 5 is going to be like. So the charging cable especially, because the one thing I saw here is a USB mini connector to Thunderbolt. I mean, not Thunderbolt, to the iPhone 5's 8-pin or 9-pin connector. So they've already invested all that money. So it's very likely, if a company like Skosh is already inventing in it, it's very likely that it is going to have a 9-pin or an 8-pin. And I do believe that as well. So the iPhone 5 will most likely have a 9-pin or an 8-pin. And speaking of the iPhone 5, there's a lot of fake stuff of the iPhone 5. I mean, I think later on in this show, I'm going to talk about renderings of the iPhone 5 and a physical iPhone 5 that they were like, I'm not going to talk about that because I'm going to talk about that later. But anyway, this fake iPhone 5 regards to the packaging, because this packaging right now, if you guys are looking at the video version, yeah, okay, here it is. If you guys are listening, it's the box for the iPhone 5. And a lot of people were like, oh, here's the box. Yeah, it's crazy. But then, who was it? Who was it that did this? 9to5Mac totally tore it down. So it's from apple.hdblog.it. Okay, that's a little weird. They have these photos of this cardboard box for the iPhone 5. And 9to5Mac is like, oh, this is probably why. And this is why it's not going to be... this is why this is not going to be the box. First of all, this iPhone 5... font is not big enough. If you look at the actual box, the iPhone 4S box, the font is huge compared to the box. Also, the legitimate iPhone 4S box has an Apple logo at the bottom, and it has an iCloud logo at the top. And this one doesn't have the Apple logo and the iCloud. So this is most likely a fake iPhone 5 box. I mean, man, okay, this is my rant about, you know, how ridiculous it is that everyone's just totally grabbing onto anything Apple and all their rumors, because I'm talking about the iPhone 5 box. I mean, come on. And keep going. To a little bit of a change. Let's talk about the iMacs. The iMac 27-inch, to be precise. The iMac 27-inch can't be purchased in half of the Apple stores out there. So I talked about last week how the 27-inch iMac can be purchased from online stores, and now it seems like there's a shortage in these Apple stores, and that is actually significant, because if there's a shortage in the Apple stores, that's more indicative of an iMac refresh than, you know, an Amazon store shortage. So there are shortages. I've talked about shortages before, so I mean, this might just be them, you know, having troubles creating this iMac. But I do believe that the iMac will be refreshed this September or October, whichever one of them. And yeah, I think I have a story about that in this next story. Oh yes, here we go. Apple Insider talks about the refresh, and they say that the 21.5 and the 27-inch iMacs will have better screens, but it's not going to be Retina. And this is the updated iMac that I'm talking about. That's coming. I don't know, when did they say it? They say it's coming in September or October, and yeah, I agree. I agree with them. There's a lot of news about the iMac being changed, and there's a lot of the news about the iMac being changed and not being Retina. Okay, and this is something new. This is something huge. They also say that this is the source is Ming-Chi Kuo. He says that there's going to be a new form factor for the iMac, which is going to be insane, because the iMac hasn't seen a brand new form factor change. And what I think it's going to be like is like it's going from MacBook.Pro to the MacBook Pro Retina. It's a little bit thinner. I think the same thing's going to happen for the iMac. Yeah. And let's see. AppleInsider.com talks about devices launching as okay. So these are all the devices launching in September. So Apple Insider, I've already talked to you guys about this, but for some reason Apple Insider decided to say, hey, I'm gonna keep updating you guys. Hey, here's an update to what's gonna be launched in September and October. Most of you guys have probably heard this already. So they say that the MacBook Pro 13 Retina, the iPod Touch, and the iMac 21.5-inch, and the iPhone 5 will all release in September, and in October the iPod Nano, iMac 27-inch, and the modified iPad and the iPad Mini will all release in October. And there's a few things that I'm kind of like iffy on this one. So I do agree that the MacBook Pro 13 could release in September. That's more likely. Okay. The iPod Touch. Okay. The iMac 21.5. Okay. Here's the reason why the iMacs don't both get released at the same time. So why does the 21.5-inch get released in September, and why does the 27 get released in October? Well, they say that there's been some problems with creating these new screen technology for the iMac 27. They have lower yield rates. So it's likely that because of these lower yield rates, they're going to delay it for a month, which, okay, that could make sense. But I don't see this revamped iPad coming out. I mean, it's weird. I don't see them creating an event out of this brand new modified iPad, the new iPad. And I see them just updating it in their store. Like, I can't see them talking too much about it. And I'm starting to slow down, so we're going to talk about the next story from Bloomberg. And talking about the iPad Mini. iPad Mini will come out this October with a non-retina screen. I already talked about that, but this is from Bloomberg Business Week, and I guess they're more reputable. So, yeah, okay, they got their 2 cents in. And speaking of the iPad and the iPad Mini, Marco Arment, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Marco Arment, from Marco.org, has found some iPad, an iPad 2 5 and an iPad 2, 6 in his Instapaper logs. And hold on, I'm going to get a drink of water. And so what's relevant with iPad 2.5 and iPad 2.6? Well, when the iPad 2 came out, there's an iPad 2.1, which I would say is the Wi-Fi, and then there's an iPad 2.2, which is the CDMA version of the iPad, and the iPad 2.3, which is the GSM, and the iPad 2.4, which is the modified iPad 2, because it did get a processor bump, right? If you guys follow the news. So that's iPad 2, 3, 4, and 1. And then there's the iPad 2.5 and 2.6. Now, nobody has ever seen an iPad 2.5 or 2.6 come up in their logs, or they have actually been seeing iPad 2.5s and 2.6, but Apple does not currently sell an iPad 2.5 and 2.6. So this suggests that the iPad mini would be called an iPad 2.5 and 2.6. And what that suggests is that the iPad mini could have a bunch of iPad, the iPad 2, chipset and memory and all that stuff. So pretty much the innards of the iPad 2 would probably go into the iPad mini. And speaking of, hold on. I don't know how to, I'm going to transition with this. Speaking of stuff that Apple sells, God, that's a terrible transition. Speaking of stuff that Apple sells, CNET.com talks about the MacBook Pro Retina 13 and how it would have the resolution of 2560 by 600 pixels. That's a lot of pixels. And that it's been in production since Q3 of this year. And their source was Richard Shim. Okay. Telegraph.co.uk talks about AirPlay and how AirPlay music streaming could be accomplished without Wi-Fi. That's right. So in the September event, this is probably going to happen with the iPhone 5 and an update to the iOS 6. What would happen is, right now you need Wi-Fi to connect your iPhone to an AirPlay speaker. But with this, with Telegraph.co.uk, what they're saying is that pretty soon, Apple is going to get this, I think they're going to call it AirPlay Direct or something like that. And Apple will just be able to, iPhone devices and iPads will just be able to connect to all of these AirPlay devices without Wi-Fi, which is pretty cool. And I think Tom Merritt from Tech News Today says that is cool because we are now a step closer into mesh networking, which I think would be so cool if there are mesh networks. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna geek out about mesh networking. And okay, here we go. Okay. I should probably get rid of the delay of that sound effect. But anyway, headlines. All right, nowhereelse.fr says that even more iPhone 5 comparison photos to iPhone 4S photos are out there. So they published more iPhone 5 and 4S comparisons. And this time is more complete. I'm trying to look at the photos. So this time they've assembled a bunch of these parts from the iPhone 5, and now they're comparing it with the iPhone 4. TheCultOfMac.com has an iPhone 5 infographic, which I absolutely suggest that you guys take a look at it. And I agree with I agree with this infographic. So take a look at it, and they say what the percentage chance is of a 4G coming to the iPhone, and the percentage that the NFC will be there, 42%, which is good. It's 42%. Actually, it's weird looking at this. BGR says that it's 100% probability that the iPhone 5 will get NFC, and the Cult of Mac says they're about 50%, and Business Insider says they're 25%. And Apple Insider says it's 5%. I think it's more like the Apple Insider that, it's 5% that NFC will come to the iPhone. And another headline from, what the heck is this website? Apple.Pro. They say that the iPhone 5 will have a home button mechanism that is the same as the iPads, because the current home button mechanism on our iPhones right now are crap. They break. So they're going to switch that up to the same mechanism as the iPad, which doesn't break as easily. iRescue.com says that the iPhone 5 they have a picture of the iPhone 5 with its parts assembled together, and it is pretty high res. It's a bunch of high res photos of the iPhone 5, and TMOnews.com says that the T-Mobile will sell against the iPhone 5 because they don't have the contract to from Apple to sell the iPhone 5. So what they're likely going to do is they're going to sell against it on September 21st. And this is based on a leaked memo. Next up, Apple Insider says that they have very realistic mock-ups of the iPhone 5. And there's a video here as well. And this is what I was talking about, fake iPhones out there. This is just a mock-up. It's not the actual iPhone. And techthoughts.net, actually, this is weird. I thought of creating a web blog called Tech Thoughts, and these guys got my website name. Techthoughts.net says that the iPad mini could sell for $300 and still make more than $100 in profit. That is still pretty insane because, it doesn't look like the website exists anymore. Because I talked about a while back on how the iPad mini probably won't cost $250 or $200 because Apple loves, profiting from a huge percentage of their sales. And this says that they would still profit a lot on these iPad minis if they sell it for $299. Now, where did he get this information? Well, he looked at how much current iPad 2 stuff costs, like, chips and cables and stuff like that. And he just added them all together and said, this is what the iPad mini would cost. Next up, 9to5mac.com says that there's a large iPhone 3GS shortage out there right now. And if you guys own a 3GS, and it's a little bit wonky, it's about to break or something like that, keep this in mind, okay? What they say is whenever a customer comes in with an iPhone 3GS and maybe the screen is broken, the Apple Store will try to fix it in the store. Usually what they do is they grab your 3GS, they send it off to some factory to get it fixed, and then they just replace it with another 3GS. Well, since they have a shortage, what they're going to do is they're going to try to fix it in the store. And if they can't fix it, they're going to give you an iPhone 4. Which is freaking cool. So I suggest you go check that out, but I don't think you should go now. You should wait until there are more shortages, so maybe like a week from now. And for our final thing, and this is actually like a downer. I'm like, this is what I'm going to end with. There's a patent that creates computer services which allow the user to publish and share content and images online. Hold on, I forgot to play the sound effect. So yeah, so what does this do? It's pretty much Picasa for Apple's version of Picasa because of this filing from like legalese words and whatever. You know what? I'm going to end this show right now because I got to go soon. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and let's see, you can visit the website at AppleBruit.com, and if you visit the website, you're going to see the beautiful show notes that I've put a lot of time into. Actually, I don't actually put a lot of time into the show notes because I get what is it, like an XLS version of Twitter, and then I just, whatever, whatever. I'm geeking out about the small stuff, but pretty much my show notes are automatically created, which is freaking cool. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. If you want to contact me, email me at applebrute@gmail.com. And yes, the website, applebrute.com. Is there anything else? Follow the Twitter account if you just want to see updates to the AppleBruit. If you just want to hear about Apple rumor only stuff, visit my Twitter account at applebrute.com/ No, I'm messing up. I can't believe I ended this show like that, rambling and just all over the place.